Restaurants will include Five Guys Burgers, Potbelly, Panera Bread, and Pie Five. And then some additional retailers that include Sleep Experts, AT&T, Verizon, Supercuts, Monarch Dental, Legacy Nails, and Spa are among the businesses that are currently under lease. That will be about, in the inline, there'll be about 300,000 square foot of retail. And then on that out parcel, there could be another 100,000 square foot of retail through those out parcel buildings. And I believe at this point, if it's all right, we've actually got a flyover video that the developer and the commercial realtor have put together that'll give you some nice perspective on the construction of the roadways and the development that's going to occur out there. There are a series of 3 primary entryways off of the service road, and what you're looking at here was the first entrance off of the service road as you're going south from Glade Road. We had showed you the urban lofts there at the top of the screen. The location that you're looking at right now will be that inline retail that I was referencing, that Dick's Sporting Goods, rather, that was the foundation for that right there. And as you move to the north there, that's where the other inline retailers that will include the Five Below, Ulta, and Michael's will be located. And then you can see at the top middle portion, that's where the Super Target is located. As comparison, when we throw around the numbers, the Shops at Vineyard Village, which is across the street with the Lowe's, that's about 410,000 square feet of total retail commercial there. This is the second entry off of the service road. That's going to be Chisholm Trail. That will be really the primary ingress into the development, and that'll take you right into what's going to be referred to as a lifestyle retail area that on the top end will be anchored by a movie theater, and there'll be other retail and restaurants between the movie theater and the service road. We are looking due west now towards the K. Hoffmanian subdivision. Where you see the circle, that is a park area that was developed at the expense of the developer that's associated with that subdivision. It will really kind of serve as a buffer between the residential to the west and the commercial activity to the east. We're looking now on Rio Grande from Cheeks Barker looking north. The street that's just now intersecting it will be Brazos Boulevard. This is actually a couple of weeks old, and there's been a lot of work that's been completed on Brazos. And we're now upon where the Dave & Buster's is under construction. You can see there, that would have been when the parking lot pavement had been poured. Which brings us to Glade Park. Currently, if you were to go out there today, they are almost finished with the framing and the exterior portion of the building before they'll begin to apply the masonry exterior. They are scheduled to open, I believe, April the 27th or 29th, with the target date's the end of April. And Dick's Sporting Goods, again, is that southern portion of that inline retail currently under construction. And if you look farther to the north today, they've got tilt wall. I'm not sure how far to the north they got, but it's going up in a hurry. I had shown you earlier, if you remember, when we were looking north on Rio Grande, the Brazos Boulevard that connected. This is as it extends to the north. And this area will basically be separating what we believe to be the movie theater to the left of this picture, and then to the right you will continue retail and restaurants that will continue to extend out to the service road area. We do not have a graphic with this, but we wanted to point out that if you were to look at the agenda that the City Council is being asked to consider next Tuesday, there will be a development that's referenced very cleverly as Glade Park's South. And if you see where the label is for the gas well pad site, that's within a wetlands area. If you go to the south of that wetlands area, clear down to Cheeksburger, and then to the west to Heritage, and then to the east to Rio Grande Boulevard, all of that vacant undeveloped acreage would be proposed for a future development that would really be comprised of 3 different developments. One portion of that development would be some additional urban lofts that would front onto Heritage Road in an area that really doesn't have any visibility or frontage to either Cheeksburger or to Rio Grande, and perhaps is not viable for commercial development. But the remainder of that 60 acres, which will be some, let's say 30, 35 acres, would be zoned for a commercial development. A portion of that commercial development would be exactly like that development that we were describing on the 121 service road that would include retailers and restaurants, etc. But the majority of that acreage would be designated for big box retail for an end user that would occupy 25,000 square foot or greater. So the potential for Glade Park's South would be perhaps to introduce 120 to 150,000 square foot of additional commercial retail to what is already going to be built as part of the Glade Park's development that we've been describing and that we just showed you the video. Is that our last slide, Mr. Parker? We're being told between 10 and 12 screens. We're not sure. The type of theater that's being described is, what is it, a movie tavern type where you can go in and be served a meal and eat while you're watching the movie.
All right, Keith, just a second, because I've got to point this out. Assistant City Manager Chris Barker is the one that was doodling and stuff on the deal. His kindergarten teacher said he would never be able to cut a straight line. I understand why she told him that. So, and the other thing that was exciting, if you didn't notice this week, and you can tell that, you know, I'm a connoisseur of food, that they named the top 10 sandwich places in the United States. Pandera bread, is that how you say it? Number 1. Number 3, Potbelly. So, right there you get number 1 and number 3. Subway, I think, was number 6 or 7. Keith, you had a question?
Yeah, the area west of all this development, is that not AUS, is that correct?
That is correct. That's in Colleyville.
I see there's
Between Cheeksburger and Glade Road, and then of course when you get to the south side of Cheeksburger Road, which where the Walmart is, that's within Bedford.
I've just seen a lot of development going on there.
Yeah, there's a proposed residential development called Creekside that is under development there on the west side.
We just showed it to you, but our drone ran out of electricity. Errol, you had a question?
Well, just one on this. I got several more after it, but the $6 million the city has just borrowed or is borrowing, could you explain that? Because I believe we reimbursed the contractors and developers for some of the roads and infrastructure in that development. And many people probably don't follow it that close to understand it. And it'll show up on our debt page before long if it's not already there.
I'll be happy to explain that. When this developer came in for this development, the city worked with the other taxing jurisdictions and created a tax increment reinvestment zone. And that purpose of that was to help pay for all of the infrastructure, the roads, the water, sewer, and the infrastructure that's needed for the development. And in essence, what that did was it committed a portion of the revenue that is generated from this development to pay for that infrastructure. So the way the city structured that was in phases, and as the developer has completed some of those phases of that infrastructure, they've been entitled to reimbursement for that infrastructure, and the city has issued the debt to pay for those roads, and it is being paid for by the proceeds from the development. Yes. Is that a question on that? Question on that? Okay. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, I just wanted people to know that it shows up on our debt page before long and how it's being paid for and not out of our tax money.
Right, it's coming from the proceeds of the development.
Charlie, John, I think Charlie was first, and then I'll get to you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, do you have any estimates on the net revenue to the city, for the sales tax, and then maybe an estimate on the amount of employment I bring to the city, which is going to generate more income for the city?
The estimates on the TERS did have overall benefit to all of the taxing jurisdictions. Because I'm not able to pull that off the top of my head right now, but it is many, many millions to all of the taxing jurisdictions. I think an ultimate build out, I think it was in excess of 100 million for all of the taxing jurisdictions over the expected life of the TERS, which is a 30-year TERS. But to give you that exact number for the upcoming year, I can't put it on the top of my head. But
David Buster, just them. Yeah, there's trouble on the top. There's a lot of departments. There's a lot of people.
Charlie's the police chief for the DFW airport. You're not looking for a job, Charlie. You just answered the question. You're kind of new. You're kind of new as the police chief. You're kind of new as the police chief after we want to keep you for a while. John, you had a question.
Well, it's more of a comment, and I just want to start out by saying that I've been coming to city council and pre-council meetings now for 10 years, and I'm very proud of the city. I mean, especially one of the recent issues that have come up has been the issue of communication, and I think that by no means, I think that everybody on the city council, everybody on staff is 100% open, transparent, and honest. And by no means are trying to hide anything at all. I think that's been evidenced by the recent award we got from the state comptroller's office for being transparent and open. So I just want to preface my remarks with that I believe that we have one of the most well-run cities in the entire state. However,
One sure thing in public service, there's always a however.
we have had an evolution of communication and openness, and a lot of it has been accelerated as of late. We have made great strides in putting more information online, particularly about the council meetings, pre-council presentations, so that people like me who have ungodly commutes and can't make it to meetings can go online and look at a lot of that information. We're making great strides, but we're not there yet. I will tell you that as much as it pains me to say it, Carl Easton has a valid point. And that is, we do still have kind of a communication issue in our city. And that is that while I believe that at any point, any citizen can call up anybody on city council or staff and ask a question, there still does seem to be some reluctance at being proactive about putting information out there. On several occasions over the years, I've brought up issues and asked questions. Won't go into specifics because I'm not really calling anybody out, but I've gotten responses such as, well, we don't want to unnecessarily alarm anybody. Or, gosh, if we put that information out there, it would cause a lot of concerns and questions that people wouldn't understand it, and there would be a lot of extra work for staff. That kind of, I guess what I'm saying is we should never be afraid to put out information proactively. One recent example that I will bring up is recently, because of a very explainable reason, the water in our neighborhood all of a sudden started tasting markedly different around Christmas. And great explanation that I got from Loretta was that, the Trinity River, pumpage, and we started getting more of our own well water. Didn't even know we had wells in Euless. So, and at least 4 or 5 people in my neighborhood called in. So if that many people in my neighborhood called in, do the math across the city, a lot of people must have probably said something about it. So we have a lot of mechanisms that we could use to be more proactive about communication, like taking a look at that online presentation we put out there for pre-council and making sure that someone can read it and really know what's going on with the pre-council presentation. And now that we have our new fancy computer screens and cameras that we can broadcast our city council meeting, perhaps even look at holding pre-council in this room so you can also broadcast those meetings and record them. And then I'm going to harp on it one more time because I brought it up at every meeting, so watch this one be different. Nextdoor.com. A lot of people in this room are probably on it. If you're not, you should look it up. It's basically Facebook for neighborhoods. The city has accounts on there, but nothing's been posted for years, for at least a couple of years now. And I got to think, a change in water taste is something that might want to go on Nextdoor. Or why was Industrial Boulevard shut down for a half a day with all the emergency trucks out there? So if you know something's going on, or something that, or even like, the new stores that are coming into Glade Parks, great thing for Nextdoor.com. And I would just really say, whether or not you disagree, it's an issue, but just always keep it in the back of your mind. I would just request that if there is any reluctance that you see on staff or council about wanting to hold information close to the vest, look and see if that's really something that, that you can go ahead and proactively share to eliminate this concern that seems to be recurring about not being included with. So that's fine.
John, I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell my wife when she has me take her to Windstar. She's got to stay there longer than it takes me to drive up there and drive back, or it's really not worth me going. You started out great, saying nice things. There was about this long, and then you got to the butt. That's it. We appreciate you. Yes, ma'am. Right. Thank Outlines. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good.
Good.
Mike Collins, I heard the word Verizon. Are we going to have Fios access in this?
I don't have an answer to that. I do not know.
Well, why don't we have Fios access now? You know that?
I do not know.
John, I could tell, didn't hear. She wanted to know why we don't have file. And I don't even know what it is. Why we don't have, maybe we just find out why we don't have access to Euless. That's what the question was, and the response you probably heard in that is, we don't know.
The Verizon he talked about is a store. It's a Verizon store. Why we don't have Verizon Fios is a simple, we're in the AT&T service area, and Verizon service is, I think, Keller and up in that area, but they don't have the internet. It's the wires. AT&T owns the phone wires, and that's the way it. That's just the way it is. We have a franchise with AT&T, and anybody can offer phone service. It's just if somebody, AT&T or a cable company or your internet provider, you're not. We can't promise you files because it's just.
The AT&T Fios equivalent is now available, at least in my neighborhood, and that's been recent as of a month ago or so.
Yeah. We've got us in Arlington, and I think Dallas, some parts of Dallas. We're amongst the highest level of AT&T service, but it's not. It is. I mean, it's just like when we have to use Encore for our wireless service on electricity. Encore on all the line. That's what I'm telling you.
Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. You sure can.
What is Fios? Fios.
I saw it.
Byron, if it helps, I graduated from Bell. I didn't know what. The gentleman's left, but I'm in the school district because they currently do. Yes, sir.
Is that wetland going to be a swamp or going to be a park?
Yes. The wetland, is the wetland a park? Mike?
It'll be preserved in its natural condition. A portion of the trail network that we were referencing before will be located on the edge of it, but it'll stay in its natural condition.
No, you can't go swamp hunting out there.
Some of that's required, that they have to get a permit, that's required by federal law, that they be left in its natural state. That's required.
Yes, sir. Okay, talk up for me, please.
The department at this point, we're getting a lot of problems with both clients. We've passed them all the time, but it's becoming more frequently. And I don't know the intentions with the other departments that are taking cities that are south of Jesus. But I know we have a farm time with them, so we pay almost $200,000 and taxes, water utilities for the city. That's almost as much as the city manager's salary, or if not, cost or police and fire. And for us to be treated that way, I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's muddy water as far as the Planet City part, and we're also calling the Unit Boulevard in Mission Point, the department. And as far as our occupancy level, we're 98% occupied. And a lot of our residents work at the DFW Airport. And we're going to continue to do this, and they don't really know what's going on, but I'm here to back behind them as far as also the apartment complexes. But this, in my competitive neighborhood inspection, I don't know if it's state regulated, I don't know exactly what it is, but this inspection is annual. We pass it all the time, but now this is becoming more monthly service. I don't know what's going on, you know? I don't know if it's a city thing or if it's a compliance. So we spoke to Gary Landers. And if that's not enough money for the city, and y'all want to lock it down and do something else, I think that should be upfront with it. We can all take our business elsewhere.
Okay, next, let's stop there for a minute. Because you're getting so far that everybody else is losing track of it. You're having a one-on-one conversation with me.
Okay.
And so your question is, you live in Mission Point, do you work for Mission Point? Okay. And the apartment inspection deal, you believe that the code is
Yeah, it's all PMI.
being too aggressive with you. And so, Captain Landers, can you come down here and give everybody an understanding of what the apartment inspection is for the city of Euless? I don't know that you want to specifically address his. And Captain Landers would be happy to talk with you afterwards and address your specific issue.
I think a lot of these people could be with us.
Let him address what that program is.
The property maintenance inspection program is administered by code enforcement through the police department. And basically what we do is go to all properties throughout the entire city. And we look at the maintenance, what they've done, whether in disrepair, things that need to be repaired over a period of time. And we work with that management company or even sometimes the owners to bring those up to a specific level, a minimum level for a house. And we worked with your particular complex numerous times when we dealt with the owner lots, and they have made tremendous strides from the very beginning. Our goal is voluntary compliance, obviously, to get them to bring whatever community it is up to the level that's acceptable just under a minimum standard.
Correct. We just spent more than $20,000 on roads, you know, park off there.
Correct.
Over $100,000 in paint, whether we paint for stage and paint. And I think we're trying too hard, but like I said, we can always do it.
And if I may use Mission Point as a success story for the program.
Sure.
Because Mission Point,
Motivation work, but go ahead.
Mission Point had, Mission Point started off, and it had just gone through years and years and years of not being maintained. And then after talking to the manager and talking to the owner throughout the last couple of years, with the owner's 100% dedication and working with us hand in hand, have made great strides with the property. Of course, they've had to spend lots of money to bring the property up. It's money that has been deferred over the years, and that's going on with lots of it.
Well, I know Bear Creek, will be knocked down for a lot of years, Mission Point, was built in the sixties, and we took over, a little over 5 years ago, big redevelopment. Basically, the owner, as you know.
Right.
And I don't know if it has to have tax developers, but I think we've done a pretty much a good job. I mean, the staff there.
No one's discounted. I would agree with you 100%.
Valerie, the manager, Bianca Martinez, is the supervisor. And, I won't go on, but it's really that's doing our time. Because your, tax over there is not state compliant or not related to public housing. We are affordable housing, but not that affordable.
We're getting into a lot of stuff that.
Yeah, the rest of them, okay. Why don't you get with Captain Landers afterwards?
I'll
If
sit
you
down
have
with
specific
Yeah,
questions.
actually, and, I'll get to her soon. What was her name?
Lindsay as well.
Yes,
What was her name?
Lindsay Wells,
Lindsay Wells.
yes.
Yeah, I'll get to her today.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Follow up, same area. What are you guys doing with Shadow Creek?
I'm sorry?
Apartment complex, the Shadow Creek apartment complex?
What are we
What's going on
doing
over
with
there?
it? Shadow Creek?
Is there we've heard rumor that that apartment complex, the apartment complex beside it, the apartment complex behind it, the whole area behind Home Depot, there's a possibility of development, tearing down those apartments. Is there something going on?
The Shadow Creek Department, the city has under contract to purchase. We anticipate in the next couple of months assigning that contract to a developer who will take the apartments and probably redevelop. The other apartments adjoining that, which is the Concord House to the north and the Concord Terrace to the east, they have been bought by the same developer. I think Concord Terrace, which is the access off Highway 10 on Park Drive, I think they are vacant. So they have to vacant.
They're working towards something.
Okay. So they're in the process of vacating that community. And then probably over the summer, the others will be vacated.
Okay, I have follow-up. I have been over and visited that property on multiple occasions, and something that I'm seeing that is disturbing to me is when these residents leave, they're dumping their animals. I have been with a group who has rescued at least 3 dogs. One dog has ended up in Colorado. One dog has been adopted out. And another dog is now living in a new home. I would like to work with the city. And here's what I would propose. Before anybody else leaves that apartment complex and is known to have animals, is it possible to work with the city and TCAP and any volunteer organizations in the area to get those animals released to a rescue organization before they're dumped on that property again? My thought process here goes on twofold. From a dog perspective, I don't want to see any more animals running the streets, and I'd like to see them get fixed and get rehomed, because obviously somebody took care of them. They're obviously adoptable. Let's get them placed appropriately and quickly. If we could go and visit with these people ahead of time and get involved and help them and let them know that the city's here for them, there's a rescue unit available, there's a TCAP is involved, we can get them fixed and moved out and not dumped. Same goes with cats. Now,